Hi all, today I am going to be teaching you how to make this super cool woodpecker feeder, which is going to be great for downy woodpeckers, pileated, red bellies, all sorts of woodpecking birds that are going to be enjoying just absolutely going to town, eating away, pecking away at this old Halloween pumpkin that I have now upcycled to have all sorts of yummy woodpecker suet in it. So let's figure out more about woodpeckers and how cool their beaks are, as well as how to make this fun little upcycled Halloween pumpkin woodpecker feeder. While woodpeckers, as the name implies, peck at the wood, they're not actually trying to eat the wood. They're trying to get into the woody tissue to slurp out the insects that can be found boring within old dead trees or dying trees or sick trees, things like that. And then they eat up those yummy insects. Some, like the yellow-bellied sapsucker, don't actually eat insects. They lick up the yummy sap from living tissue, so not dead like this. But let's take a look at this tree. We can see all sorts of cool holes, exit holes, burrows, things like that insects would love to go through. All of these tiny little pathways and channels here have been bored out by drilling insects, beetle larvae, things like that. And we can see holes, small holes like these, that are exit holes from boring insects like beetle larvae. Over time, as more and more insects gather here, woodpeckers can hear into the tree and they can drill and peck away, finding all of those delicious insects. You can see a pecker hole right there to get those delicious insects. So dead trees, dying trees, decaying trees are super important food resources for woodpeckers. So now you can imagine that tap, 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 tap that a woodpecker would do would probably be pretty painful to their face. I mean, imagine banging your head against a solid tree or even a decaying tree. That still can be pretty painful. So woodpeckers have a special adaptation. Their tongues, the bone that holds the tongue and all the muscles correlated with the tongue wrap around the entire skull, which gives them some sort of shock absorption. Their skulls are actually kind of spongy too, so that when they bang their faces and their beaks against a hard tree, they're not going to hurt themselves. They also wear a form of safety goggles. So they have a membrane that covers their eyes when they peck so that they can still see, but they're going to protect their eyes from any wood chips that come flying off of the tree, which is super, super cool. Their beaks are also specially formed and shaped to be more like a hammer and chisel than think like a hummingbird who's built like a straw to suck up nectar. While woodpeckers are in the area year-round, it might be hard to see them. Why is that? One reason why we may see more woodpeckers in the fall than we do during the spring or summer is just due to the fact that there's less foliage in the way for us to see woodpeckers that might often blend in with the tree bark itself. Now, let's get to making our fun little old Halloween pumpkin woodpecker feeder, which, no, it's not a tree, but it's still solid enough that the woodpeckers will love to come and hammer away at it, and we will fill it with all sorts of really delicious things that woodpeckers love to eat. So usually in the pet section, you'll be able to find all sorts of bird seed that you can use. However, for woodpeckers, want these mealworms, these insects that we can use to help feed our insectivores. You may also find a mix pre-made that you can see has little insects in it, as well as some berries, which woodpeckers will take quite advantage of if they have access to. For this craft, you are going to need your pumpkins that you had left over from the Halloween or autumn decorations. You will need shortening, which will be the base of our DIY suet, a knife to carve your pumpkin with, a little spoon, and your woodpecker mix, which can include seeds, corn, mealworms, dried fruit, whole peanuts, things like that. All right, you're gonna start by carving holes into your old pumpkin. So this is something you wanna be very careful with, as we are using a blade. So be very careful. You wanna make the holes to be about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch in diameter. This is going to be good for the woodpeckers to come and chomp away at. They're going to want to peck at the solid gourd, this nice pumpkin, to get the goodies like your mealworms on the inside. So carve out some holes and we'll go from there. Once you have these holes carved into your pumpkin, then we can fill it with our suet mix. To make your suet mix, you will take your shortening, a little tray, your spoon, and add some shortening bit by bit to your little tray. Then add some of your woodpecker mix. Mush it all together. Then you take your mix and stuff it into the holes.